last speaker will be Ian from the creative practice, and it would probably just be going through some, how do you make money from your art, different ways, marketing, that kind of stuff. And then Ashling would be going second, and she would just give you inside knowledge of the fashion industry work, and then I would go in third. So,
okay. Thanks, Samson. As Samson was saying, my name's Ian, and just to give you a brief history, together with my partner Monica, who's sat here, we started the Centre for Creative Practices in what used to be on Pembroke Street back in 2009. It was a physical space that was dealing with artistic events for the migrant, experimental and emerging arts community based in Ireland. And what we found from dealing with these people and trying to give them visibility within the Irish art scene was that they lacked, and also the sector as a whole lacked, sort of the ways to be sustainable. Not necessarily just to make money, but actually to make a living out of it. Sometimes getting away from the notion of actually talking about money and sort of thinking about how we can utilise other exchanges as well, sort of like barter systems, purpose economies, to sort of get away from this evil thing called cash. So moved forward about 6 years, and January of last year now, we actually sort of were asked to vacate the premises in Pembroke Street. The building got taken over and the building got sold, and the new people took over the whole space, so we lost the physical space, and we now work pretty much on various projects throughout Ireland. Myself pretty much on the artistic entrepreneurship, and Monica on cultural diversity, curation, arts management and all the rest of it. Samson said I was going to tell you how to make money today. Probably not, but at least what I want to do is I want to sort of to go through with you a few little bits and pieces to sort of, when you're starting off doing anything, and any sort of business is the same, it's really trying to define what your motivation is, what really your passion is, what really your why is, and so you can actually ask yourself, why do I do this? What's my motivation for doing it, and is it sustainable? Can I keep that momentum going? Because it's all very well starting something thinking, hey, I'm going to make money out of it, but unless you've actually got that drive and that passion to do it, it's very difficult to keep that going. So, first of all, welcome. And there's going to be a mixture of sort of slides like this. They're just sort of quirky. They're intentionally stolen from the internet. Okay. So don't let failure be an ending. Let it make it a beginning. Very true. I mean, if we look back at previous past sort of failures that we might have had, we sort of think, okay, what did we do with those failures? Is there any success? Is there any sort of learnings that we can bring out of it? We're also sort of always brought up through your education system that failure is a bad thing. We should never fail at anything. Well, unfortunately, we're always going to fail. It's just a question of what we do with those failures, how we turn them into successes that really counts. So there's a few notable sort of, not really failures, but I suppose turning the failures into success. First of all, does anybody know what Al Pacino's biggest regret was at the moment? Anybody else? No. Any clues? Instead of, you could have ended up with that. Anybody know who that is? As opposed to that. Okay. So Han Solo from Star Wars. Okay. His biggest regret was actually turning down the role, which they then offered to a new actor called Harrison Ford, who went on to basically make his name synonymous with Han Solo and the whole Star Wars, Raiders of the Lost Ark and everything else since. Other notable failures that turned into successes, it's a light bulb. And a certain person was trying and trying and trying and trying and trying and tried 10,000 times until success. We had electric light bulbs. Edison is rumoured, the numbers do vary somewhere between around about 1,000 and 10,000 times of actually trying to make a light bulb that worked. And instead of giving up, which we probably all would have done, not necessarily after say 1 or 2 times, but certainly after about 1,000 times, managed to make the light bulb work. There's also a very well-known author who gave their book to your publishing companies on at least 13 different occasions and got rejection letters from every single one of them. Exactly.
Yeah.
Again, we might all have given up after number 4 or 5 or start thinking maybe writing is not really the thing that we should be doing. Maybe we should look at another profession to do it. So really, the thing is, not giving up. It might be failure, it could be persistence. It's just utilising those sort of effects that you've had in your daily life to push yourself forward, to get that motivation going. Over the course of the last year, we actually started running a series of what they call fuck-up nights, which is purely, as the term says, people talking about their fuck-ups. The first one we had, there was a guy came from the Czech Republic who'd actually made an app, and he actually ran the fuck-up nights in Prague. But the app that he produced was to do with connectivity, so it was a new sort of social networking app, and it was based on tapping a screen, and the matches were done on the same sort of resonance that you had and the same time speed you had of tapping the screen. Great idea, but he called it fingering. Maybe we should think about things a bit more before we introduce them to the public. Okay, losers quit when they fail, but winners fail when they succeed. All right, as I say, this is going to be a lot of quirky slides, but just think about that for a second. Life isn't about finding yourself, it's about creating yourself. So, what do you guys create for yourself? Not necessarily what do you create on a wider scale, but what do you want to create for yourself? What do you want yourself to be? Who is it, the person that you want to be? And what does that person look like? So we're going to look at what sort of drives you, what pushes you forward, and what you do. As it says, mindset is everything. So channeling that mind into the way that you want to be. So if you know exactly what your why is, what your purpose, what your impact is, and we'll look at these in a little bit more detail in a minute, then it's changing that mindset to give yourself almost like, if you want, for a winner's mentality, but it's that mentality that when something goes wrong, I still want to succeed. It doesn't matter sometimes. I mean, sometimes you can get to the stage where actually we tried too hard with the failures that we realise that probably they should be failures. But it's that element of I want to keep going, I want to keep learning, and I want to keep changing, and I want to keep developing. All right? Anybody any questions so far? No? Okay. If you do, just please shout out. So, be yourself. As you can see the picture here, the guy is the only guitar player, the only musician that's in the picture. And if we're talking about being yourself, sometimes being yourself means that you don't fit in. You are the one that's different. You are the one that's slightly odd, the eccentric one. The one who probably is going left whenever the rest of us are turning right. That's not a problem. That's probably a good thing. Because if we all stand together and we all go in the same direction, then we're not going to change anything. We're not going to make a difference. We're just going to be doing exactly the same as everybody else, and we're going to get in the same results. The only way we can change anything and get different results is by doing something different. All right? Talking about don't fit in, there's just sort of a random series of pictures. These boys didn't fit in. Also at the time, they didn't like these boys very much either. If we trans forward probably 15 years, these boys, they didn't fit in either. And they certainly didn't like these boys. And if we go forward a little bit further, these boys, they were a bit of a rebel. They sort of tried to stand out. They probably became a bit too mainstream in the end, but they really didn't like these boys. So the Stones, the Beatles, the Clash, the Jam, Oasis and Blur, if anybody doesn't know their recent, or not that recent, rock history. They all stood out. They didn't try to fit in. They all did their own things. They all pushed different boundaries. I mean, if we go back to sort of, I mean, there's two instances there of sort of like the mods and the rockers. So we've got the Stones and the Clash you can put on the rock side, and you've got, say, the Beatles and the Jam on the mod side. Two didn't get on, but they both formed their own niche. They didn't try and think, oh, these guys are doing something that we should be doing, and we're not trying to fit in. So it's all about being yourself and not actually fitting in with what you think or what society thinks you should be doing. Because great things can never come from comfort zones. We can all sit here today and think, yeah, this is great. I'm actually thinking I'm doing something. I've come out. I've come to a workshop on entrepreneurship. Actually, you're not, because unless you actually go away and do something, all you've done is sat in a workshop and taken the information in. You need to get out of that comfort zone and start doing something. So, quickly, what does somebody want to be remembered for? Ashling?
An individual.
Yep.
Doing something that you really have a passion for. believing in and making a difference.
And what do you particularly want to be remembered for?
Well, my business is Irish design, so I want to be remembered for mentoring Irish designers, helping them along, having a successful business, and being part of the history of design and Irish design, and like you, an entrepreneur. And you know, sometimes I go this way and everybody else goes the other way. But eventually, you know, I make my mark. So that's what I want to do.
That's great.
Yeah.
Anybody else? Go on. What do you want to be remembered for?
Don't know yet.
Don't know yet.
Yeah.
Any rough ideas?
Generally design going between graphic and fashion. So it's
Yeah. And
It's
what
just
sort of
deciding.
boundaries do you want to push?
For me, it's probably borderline costume and fashion. Yeah.
Okay.
Somewhere along those lines.
Yeah.
I don't know what the.
Anybody else? Samson?
I would remember for helping as many artists, designers, fashion designers, photographers to actually monetize their work and create a way where if you're a talented artist, there's actually a way for you to make money as opposed to just doing it on the side. Yeah, so that's what I'm passionate about.
Okay.
Okay, what do you want to be remembered?
What do I want to be remembered for? I want to be remembered for making people think differently, or giving people the opportunity to make a change in their own lives. Not necessarily a change in my life, although that probably will happen as we come onto one of the other slides. It's about impact driving income rather than income driving impact. So it's giving people the opportunity to be who they want to be and to actually see them either succeed or fail. I don't mind. It's just giving them the opportunity and the chance and kicking a few backsides for them to do it. Yeah, so that's really me. Yeah. Okay, so think about who the me is that you want to be. All right. Think about what that person looks like. Think about what that person does. Think about who that person interacts with. Think about skills that you might need that you don't actually have at the moment. Think about resources again that you might need that you don't have at the moment. Probably if you're in sort of just starting off, getting resources is thinking, that's going to cost a lot of money. Think about where you can get these resources from that don't actually cost a lot of money. There might be, we have a guy here at the moment doing some videoing. If you need some video work, maybe there's a way of either through a cash payment or a non-cash payment, working something that you can come to an arrangement. Yeah. Might be somebody who does graphic design marketing. Think about how you can swap skills if you can't afford it. Obviously we all want to get paid, but there sometimes has to be a way where we can look around what a difference of exchange. I'm not advocating that we do everything for free, because there has to be an exchange of everything, but at least think about taking money out of the equation sometimes. All right. As I say, they are very quirky, so create a life that feels good on the inside, not one that just looks good on the outside. The next slide will go into a bit more detail on this, but really it's something that feels authentic and relevant to you. It's not just because it's a fad and you think you should jump on it. This has got to come from your values, your ethos, and your motivation. It's not just picking something randomly out of the air, because there are going to be times when this gets tough, times when you want to give up, times when you think, why did I start this in the first place? And at those moments, unless they're actually aligning to the values what you're doing, you're going to give up. You're going to find it very difficult to push through those pain points and carry on. So, you've got a plan. You can see exactly where it is you want to get to, but you have no clue as to how you want to do it. So we're going to need a roadmap. But the only way you can build a roadmap is by actually knowing exactly why you do it. Okay? Everybody has an idea as what they do, so the result that you're going to get. Everybody has an idea as to how you're going to get there, what processes, what methods, what it is you actually produce in some respects. But can anybody tell me what your purpose is? Does anybody have a purpose at the moment? Some blank faces looking around the room here.
To succeed. To succeed and grow your business.
But what's the central core from inside you?
Motivation and passion.
For which particular aspect of?
For me, it's fashion.
Yeah, yeah.
I just love the industry.
Yeah.
That's my purpose, is to stay in it.
So seeing Irish designers
Yeah.
succeed through the help that you can give them.
Anything creative in general like that.
Mhm.
It's a process.
Yeah. Because obviously if you've got, it's the how, if you like, is to see, in some respects it's the Irish designers succeeding, it's what it is they're succeeding in fashion.
And business, like there's a business side to creativity as well.
Exactly, yes.
There's two aspects to it.
Yes.
So you need both. We all get lost in our creativity and we love it and we think, oh God, but we have to make money.
Yeah, because then the landlord comes and says,
Yeah.
rent? You go, oh, didn't think of that one. Yeah. ESB goes to electricity bills.
And we're there still creative.
Exactly. Yeah, it'll be there in a minute. Don't worry, it's coming. So it's Christmas. Yeah, we're already the end of January. So yes, we need to figure out exactly what it is, our why. What's our purpose? What's our motivation? What do we believe in? What's the thing that keeps us really going through those sort of good moments and those bad moments, rather than the how and the what? To give you a corporate example, and it's the same example, this comes from a guy called Simon Sinek, who wrote the book called Start With Why. And the example he uses is the one I use now, is Apple computers. Apple computers, they make computers. How? They put them together, they build them in a workshop in Cupertino, but why? And if you think about what Apple's purpose is, they want to challenge the status quo. They want people to see and think differently. They want people to use an Apple computer to make different things. So that could be, and now we can obviously add iPhones, tablets, but to see the world differently, to make that challenge. You would be quite happy, even though Apple is still called Apple Computers, to buy a laptop, a mobile phone, an MP3 player, an iPod, an iPad, probably Apple TV. We'll probably buy even driverless cars from Apple when Apple start producing them. We have no problem at all in aligning ourselves with Apple. Whereas you'd probably have a problem buying anything other than a printer or a computer from Dell. If Dell started producing driverless cars, they're a computer company, technology company. Would we buy a driverless car from Dell? Would you buy a driverless car from Apple? We're probably going to have to buy driverless cars from Google at some stage, which could be even more scary. Tapping your search results, and if you're anything like trying to use a search engine as bad as I am, yes, we wouldn't be in the enterprise office in Grafton Street. We'd probably, I don't know, somewhere out near Taller, I guess, by this stage. But yes, so thinking about what your purpose is, what your why, what your motivation is. Because if you can work this way from the circle, by telling why, how, and what, you're going to have far more impact with people when you're talking to people about your particular activity. You're going to have far more motivation about what you do than if you're thinking from the outside in. Think from the inside out. Anybody know who he is? No.
I didn't do that.
But he managed to get around about 260,000 people to walk across the bridge to hear him speak. How did he do that? Because at this particular time we didn't have internet, we didn't have computers. Probably the fastest form of communication was a telegram, but sending a telegram to 260,000 people that you don't know is pretty difficult. So he managed to get 260,000 people to walk across the bridge. All because of his purpose and his passion and his drive. And it wasn't him who actually got the people, it was his vision that got the people. The people who were around him were the people who actually managed to get the people to go over the bridge. They were the ones who did the donkey work and the leg work, if you like. But it was his vision and his purpose. Because basically, unless you know what you're passionate about, it's very difficult to get a following and to get people to work along with you. Because he had a dream. And 260,000 people went to listen to what his dream was, which was about civil rights, human rights, lack of segregation, or to sort of get rid of segregation within the US states. And if he can do it, then you guys can certainly do it in what you're doing. So be passionate about what you do, because as I keep saying, you're going to want to give up, but don't. Because if you've got this drive, if you've got this motivation, if you've got this passion, if you've got this purpose, as I say, these are the things that are going to keep you going through those dark moments. One thing, motivation. Stay positive. Focus on your dream. set new goals and keep setting new goals, but don't set your goals too big. Okay? If you do have a big goal, split that goal into smaller, manageable chunks. But keep going. Keep moving forward. Generate new ideas, because without new ideas, you won't be able to set new goals, you won't be able to focus on your dream, you won't be able to stay positive, which means you won't be motivated. Be yourself, because everyone else is taken. And, as I say, it's not about the money yet. This is about defining what we've sort of talked about beforehand, defining who you are. But there is a method in this, in that you need to, as we said earlier, generate some sort of revenue, because we have bills to pay. We want to get the products out there. We want to succeed. And without generating money, we can't succeed. Okay? But we need to impact the world. We need to figure out what section of society, and this is going to sort of sound a bit sort of emotive in some respects, but what section of society are you actually having an impact on? Well, is it that you do that's going to affect somebody else's life? Now, this could be, if you take the social enterprise method, that we're going to try and solve homelessness, or it could be that actually I want somebody to look the best they can. But not everybody. There may be a certain small element and a certain small section that you want to make look better or to feel better. What does it do for them? I mean, I can't talk because I look like a bus driver, but if somebody's walking around and they're feeling good, how do they feel? Do they feel good about themselves? And this is what you guys are selling, particularly with fashion. You're making somebody feel good about themselves. It's not all about you. It's about them. It's about what they feel and how they interact with you because of the way you make them feel. So think about what that impact is that you do, okay? Because, unfortunately, I'm sorry it's Barry Manor, everything you say and do is having an impact on others, all right? So think about how you convey that message. If you've got your why, think about how you can articulate it. Think about how you can tell people, what you can tell people. Why is it going to motivate them to actually do business with you? Is there something special? Is there something unique that you've got? All right. Anybody got any questions? Anybody want to tell me what their motivation is? Go on, somebody.
I just love what I do.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Like, because I can be, like, you're talking about giving up. Like,
Mm-hmm.
I'm at a stage of, like, I've been banging and banging. It's like I can't get through.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, oh God, I think I just have to give up.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't want to give up again because I'm motivated. I
Mm-hmm.
think about when I look at something and then this idea comes into my head, oh God, if I can create this,
Mm-hmm.
make this in this way,
Mm-hmm.
because there's some designs, I would love them out there, but in a different way,
Mm-hmm.
And going back to what you said, I'm just motivated by creating something new.
Mm-hmm. And do you have any particular type of person in mind that you create for?
For the from 25 and above,
Mm-hmm.
yeah.
Female, male, non-important?
Female at the moment,
Mhm.
yeah.
Okay. Mm-hmm. So 25-year-old and above,
Yeah.
probably closer to the 25, maybe?
Yeah, so,
Yeah.
but not,
Female
yeah.
people.
Yes.
And what do you think, and you create, is it jewellery, is it, or
Pardon?
what do you actually create?
My fashion design.
Fashion design,
Yeah.
so clothing, okay. So how do you want them to feel when they're wearing your clothes?
Very good, like, and different.
Mhm. Mm-hmm. You want to feel special, yeah.
Yeah, look at
Mhm.
me, that kind of way.
Is it more sporty? Is it more casual, more elegant? What type of person is it?
I'm more into elegant and casual, not casual, elegant and occasional wear.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Yeah, because I mean that comes on to something else, is that a lot of you in the room are probably going to design clothes of some description. Okay. But what makes you different from the person next door to you? Because if you're saying, yeah, I design clothes, then technically you're all in competition with each other, whereas you're probably not. I mean, like the lady here saying she makes elegant and occasional wear, there's probably some of you that do more sportswear, some of you do more casual stuff, some of you mentioned jewellery, I think. Yeah.
Oh, sorry. No, I'm kind of go between costume and fashion design and graphics.
Okay.
I'm more like historical, like period pieces.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
it's kind of stuff. Yeah.
So again, that's differentiating. We're not just talking about fashion design or costume design. We're talking about a particular niche, your uniqueness, if you like. And again, this is something that comes with your why. It's what you're unique. What impact you're making is on your particular sector. So in your instance, it could well be sort of costume design, could be with theatrical productions, whatever. You know exactly what it is that you're targeting, and same with yourself. It's not, say, just the normal run-of-the-mill stuff, but we're going for sort of elegance, we're going for occasional wear. So that's what you're talking to. This is the sector of society that you're making an impact on. And obviously your impacts are going to be different, depending on the different audience types that you're talking to as well. If you're talking, in your instance, say you're doing costume design for a theatre production, that's talking to the director or the costume designer to say the difference. Yeah, that's your audience. Whereas if you're talking to somebody who you want to purchase your designs, then you're talking to maybe the general public. Or again, it could be I need to get them into a shop. So actually it's the shop owner and it's their expectations. So that's the impact you're making. All right. Okay. So, as we said, income is not derived by impact, but impact actually drives your income. So the greater your impact, the greater, theoretically, your income. And this should be really a spiral, because the greater your impact, the greater your income, which means that you should be able to generate a greater impact, which should mean you should be able to generate a greater income. And it goes on and on and on. If we start the other way around and we used income first as opposed to impact, so income now drives our impact, that just means throwing a lot of stuff at money at something that's probably going to give us a short-term gain, but is not based on any foundation, any ethics or any values. Whereas if we start with our ethics, values, then we're going to generate income from that. It's a slower process, but it gives you more sustainability at the end of the day if you look after your failures and think about them and put them to work as successes.
Can you also add that it's based on the value you bring to people? So you get paid based on value as opposed to what you bring to the market. So if you become more valuable, for example, say for me, for example, like me, it's just trying to educate as many creative people, like many network, like-minded people that go in the same direction and bring value to those people. Say this is how this X, Y, Z did it.
Yep.
Maybe you can just tag along with this guy and see how he did it, and then maybe replicate that.
Yeah, I mean, replication's great, but it comes back to sort of it's not standing out. Replicate processes, but not impacts or values, because they have to be intrinsic to you. But yes, if there's a process that works, think about how you can model that to your own stuff, but don't use their values or their particular sector that they're impacting on. Yeah. Okay, because money's not evil. It's the attachment to money that is the love of it or the fear of it, but not money itself. So stop trying to fit in when you're born to stand out. If anybody, think about how you can give yourself a kick up the backside even if somebody else won't do it for you. One great thing is actually getting somebody that you respect and look up to critique. I'm sure Ashling does it with the sort of is the mentoring side of it. It's that person that can give you positive as well as the negative feedback. Somebody who's not afraid to push you. If they see your potential, they're going to kick you. Okay, so find somebody that can kick you, all right? Because it's the best thing that you can do. Yes. As she says, the difference between a boss and a leader is the boss says go and the leader says let's go. And just think about what if. Think about what your long-term plan is and what your long-term goal is and how you're going to get there. As I say, I just wanted to cover today a little bit about motivation, a bit about why, a bit about drive, your purpose, and just really to sort of focus on yourself and figure out who you are before you start trying to formulate ideas for how I'm going to get everybody outside of this window involved with what I do. Because you're not going to get everybody. We need to split these down into small segments We need to target people that we know, target people who do interact with us already, but we need to know what's the message that we're going to give them based on who we and what it is that we do has a purpose and a brand, and how we're going to market that to these particular people.
Can I help you a little bit?
Yeah.
Because I'm absolutely fashion ignorant. Totally fashion ignorant. But if you look at 3 things I have on boots, the number of compliments I get about the boots is just incredible, but it is a tiny Portuguese company making these boots on order, and the leather, the quality, the attention, the whole process is so that I have been buying boots from them for the last 5 years, and probably until they really fuck up something, I will be doing this. This dress was produced by a group of students. It is a students' enterprise who are trying to learn how to operate in the market. That's why I bought it. And the same, this was bought from a lady who works with fabrics, etc. Behind everything there, it's a story.
Of course.
And that's exactly what Ian is talking about. I'm totally not interested in buying clothes. This is boring. But if there is a person, if there is a story, if there is a trial, if there's an attempt by the students, yes, sure.
But I think that's where the Design Centre and Irish designers really holds their own, because people have always bought Irish design and will continue to buy it because it has a uniqueness. Do you know, maybe that's because it's not an international market as yet, and hopefully that's the way they're heading. But I think they really do get something unique. Irish designers are different, I think, in that they don't look to each other to say, I'm going to do a bit of this. They really have their own vision. I think in comparison to maybe the international designers, and they're led by their own vision. So, and I think that's our consumers' love of it. Like that, is just the uniqueness. It's a big part of it,
But
for sure.
I think very, very important for wherever you are to formulate this story you are within the Irish design is a very, very big word, but to find yourself and whatever, be it costume, be it elegant, be it any other. This is my message, and everybody will be always happier to spend even some more money for fair trade, for engaging people, for really looking after more than just looking cute.
It's the opposite of disposable fashion. I think
Yes.
that's what Irish
Yes.
designers
Yes.
do.
Yes.
It's the
Yes.
very
Yes.
opposite
Yes.
of that.
Yes.
It's the antithesis of it. Yeah.
So does anybody have any questions?
I just want to add to what
Yeah.
you were saying. I think it's interesting. Like, people love stories. Like, you know, if you look at like human history, we love stories. If rather than just making a design for the sake of making a design, like, what is your story? Like, what makes you different from somebody else?
Yeah.
And if there's a story you can relate to, you know, which I'll be covering on later on in my presentation. If there's a story you can relate to, then oh well, I believe in what she does, or I kind of relate to that story.
Yeah.
So for
Makes it more authentic, makes it more real.
It's just rather than just throwing it out there, just open. Someone else would just, you know.
Yeah, no, would totally agree with that. I mean, if you can find a story, an individual story that relates to yourself, and we all have stories. I mean, we just don't walk around life with the blinkers on. So even if it's something small, I mean, we started a technology project, or Monica started a technology project recently, and the platform actually, or the very, very small beta went live 2 weeks ago. And we've been trying to contact people to get them to put their stuff onto the platform. And one lady's stuff we put on, we received a letter, or Monica received a letter in an envelope through the post on Wednesday with a card saying thank you. She'd managed to fill completely every space on our workshop, and she'd be bothered to actually physically go out and send the envelope, to send a piece of work, to say thank you for it. And that just meant so much. I mean, you get sort of letters from corporate organisations, or the rejection letters from greatest funding opportunities or whatever, but just because it was personal and it meant sort of so much to her, to something that we'd done, or very small that we'd done, to give her the chance to do something that she wanted to do. So it's that story, that type of story, that personal thing, that just brings out whatever it is you want to do within your own particular creative spheres. Any other questions? No? Okay. So I just got one last thing to say before I finish and shut up, which is just do it. Okay. So
this is a hard act to follow. So I will only give you my knowledge of my experience, and hopefully I'll be of some advice to you, or give you some knowledge of my industry. But basically, I started in the design centre when I was 21. So I came back from Australia after just falling into a job, applied for a job in this gorgeous shoe shop, and totally fell in love with the whole process of retail. The owners are very passionate about their products, so I ended up being the buyer for them and all of that. I was very young and I just adored every part of retail, the clients, the design, the creative side, all of that. So my first port of call when I came back was, my mum was like, you need to go back to college, do this. I was like, no way. I need to go into the fashion industry straight away. This is what I want to do. I want to learn so much about it. I want to deal with people, and I want to work, more importantly. So I went straight to the design centre in Paris Court, and I met with a lovely lady called Nikki Creedon, who now owns a Havana boutique in Donnybrook, and she was an incredible mentor, if you like. So straight in, on the floor as a sales assistant. At the time, Lane Kyo was headlining London Fashion Week. John Rocha was there, Philip Tracy, all of the big names, which I was in awe of. Looking at the garments inside out and the process of how they delivered and how they made the clothing, and just felt like there was always a celebrity walking through the door, if you like. So in awe of the whole fashion industry. Really loved it, and I was very passionate about it. But my main job was to sell. So after looking at the collections and getting on the shop floor, I had to develop my own client base from a very young age, which I did. And two of my best customers today are my first customers, who I sold to at a very young age. So that's really it. Paris Court was the helm of Irish design. There was no other boutique like it. Now there's 25 boutiques in Dublin or whatever around the place. Unfortunately, businesses are closing down, which always saddens me, because I see all these new startups and I wonder why there's not more grants given to the established people who have worked this industry for years and years and years, and all they needed was a little bit of a leg up, whereas it's a lot of startups. Of course, it's so important to build the economy and all of that, but it's as important to keep the creative people there that have been the tailors, the manufacturing that used to be in Ireland, all of that. I would love to see that come back to Ireland. At the moment, a lot of the product is being made out of the country, which is a real shame. So basically, that's where I began, in the design centre, and that's my little bit of background. Then I moved on to be the manager of the floor. Things changed as years went on. There was more of a demand for international labels, so started the buying process. It was in London, Milan, Paris. We took labels like Izzy Makian, Jean-Paul Gaultier. We were the first to have labels like Laura Boeing through. As time went on, we took Bendelisi over. We had trunk shows with Bendelisi, Preen. So we took a lot of international influence into the design centre, which was an amazing journey for me personally. I got so much out of learning from these designers and buying and making mistakes. As Ian said, your mistakes are really what you learn from, and staying humble and not letting it all go to your head, because the fashion industry can be very fickle at times, and you're only as good as your last sale, if you like, at times. It's a business at the end of the day, and you have got to drive that. So with the recession came a lot less spending, and things changed, and I took over the design centre as owner 12 years ago. At the beginning of the recession, really, I know everybody says it was 2 or 3 years later, but it wasn't. It was the beginning of the downturn when I took it on. I was having my second child, and it was a very unique concept where the landlord always owned, or was the owner of the design centre, because it was a rental space for each designer to rent their space and have a mannequin. So effectively, it was a good business plan for him, because the designer, the space was always rented, and he also really loved the creative side of it. So when I took over, I was on my second child, and the shop had become my own, had my own stamp. I was doing the buying, I was very involved in the designers' collections. I loved the creative side of it. It was my everything to wake up, and I never looked at my watch. Weekends meant nothing. It was just, I loved what I did, still do love what I do to this day. So I had the passion for the business. So he was like, are you going to go away now and never come back? And I was like, no, not at all, I'll be back. But typically, and I was back pretty quickly. But he said, would you be interested in taking over the business? To this day, he's still 25% my business partner, and I suppose it ensures that it would remain in Paris with the business, and to this day it does. So things changed very dramatically with the recession. There was, the spending was completely different, the consumer was different, your loyal clientele now became your, the person who really couldn't afford to buy that €500 or €600 dress, and it was a bad time really, and we really had to reinvent and think about how we're going to get through a recession. Shops closing down everywhere, shops opening, closing down, all of this. But I suppose the passion for the business for me is why I really believed in it and wanted to stay in the fashion industry. It was my business, so this was my income, this was what I was doing. So what we did was we rethought the business and side of things. We always had all of the established designers there. We were still taking designers from college and bringing them in. And there was a full circle back to Irish design, which was an incredible time really, because I do think when Irish people fall, when they come back up, they stick together. So all of these opportunities came back for Irish designers again to start thinking about creating collections. People wanted to buy Irish. The consumer message was to go out there and buy Irish, which was fantastic and great momentum and all of that. So, obviously we were the Irish Design Centre from the beginning, even though there's lots of pop-up shops and lots of other opportunities for Irish designers. We were always the first port of call and my job is to make sure that I find the next John Rocha or the next Lainey Kill or the next Philip Tracy. So, there is a standard that comes with being in my store, but that's a challenge in itself, and it's something that you have to work towards. So from there on in, the whole circle came back, and we start taking on a lot more Irish designers. We start picking ourselves back up again, if you like, and looking at where we can keep going. And it's not always about money. It's about passion, and it's about, sometimes I think, is it a hobby or is it a job? But I get paid, and that's the main thing. And and obviously I'm there for the love of it as well. But it is a business at the end of the day, and it has to be a business. So I would say to any young Irish designer, really believe in what you're doing from the onset. Have a plan, have a dream. You need to visually see that collection on a rail. Your first year in college is all about being creative, and it's all about finding, where you want to be. I would say go and work for free. Go and work in a shop. Your best and absolute invaluable tool is your client. The knowledge that customer can tell you about the length of the skirt, the length of the dress, why they don't like their necks, why they don't like their arms, all of this has got to translate into your design. It really does. We all have these visions. I have visions of what I want to wear. It's not necessarily what's going to sell at any point. So, turning a designer, your first point is your creativity and being a designer, but then you have got to translate it into some sort of commerciality, some sort of sales and revenue have got to come for that collection, or it is a hobby. That's what it is. You don't pay the bills, you don't pay anything, whatever. So basically, I would say to any designer is, from the onset, is have a vision, get your collection ready, don't take no for an answer, and gratitude is everything. Like when collections come into me and I speak to a young designer from College Point, and they come in and I look at them and say, I'm so sorry, it's not going to work for me right now, but come back to me next season, work on this, this and this, and have a look at your vision a little bit more, how it's going to turn into sales, how it's going to be commercial, and they go away. The person who comes back to me and says, thank you so much for your time, thanks for giving me the little bit of advice, is the one I write down and watch. And I really keep an eye out for her or him again and say, okay, well, you know what, they've taken this and they're going to use it now. And when they come back to me, I'm going to look at that person all over again, and hopefully I'm going to be able to help them. I'm going to be able to give them even a space with 8 or 10 garments, and a mannequin, and hopefully, they with the advice and the knowledge from the design centre, that they will grow. We've had the same designers for years. We still have Philip Tracy to this day. We had John Rocha from the day of the design centre till the day he retired. He was one of the original mentors in the design centre. His advice has been invaluable to this industry. We have the likes of younger designers like Gilda Burke coming through now, and her creativity astounds me all of the time. We have Simon Mahoney, who makes for all of the celebrities, if you like, in this industry. And so, we have these designers from the beginning until the end, and they stay with us for a reason. They could go off and be big with, you know, the other bigger department stores. Our passion is Irish design, and our passion is to make those designers grow. In order for the younger designer to grow, you have got to get out and get some experience with these designers. Knock on their doors, ask them, please, can I shadow you for free for a couple of weeks? Can I pick up your bags for a while? Can I, you know, learn from these designers? There's so many Irish designers in this industry that need the help as well. You know, like there is a struggle for all of them. They need a little runner or somebody that will help them, and it's a process of experience. You have got to have the experience. You've got to have come with some knowledge, so that you know when you're designing or when you do your second collection. Because I do think your first collection has got to be about being creative. Your second collection will be creative and commercial, but you've got to start somewhere. So does anyone have any questions for me, just even about the industry or anything like that, or no? You know, just chatting away.
A quick question.
Yeah.
What are the biggest mistake that every, say, young fashion designer makes when you're going from to getting, you know,
The college. I think the biggest mistake that most of the younger designers make is that they don't really listen to what you have got to say, or even not what I've got to say, even other peers in the industry have got to say. They come with a collection, they're very strong on their vision, they can't understand why you can't see their vision. For me, I'm a retailer, you know, so, you know, it's like, I really love what you've done, and you put so many hours into your collection, and I understand the sewing and the making and whatever, but you need to change this and that, you know. The other thing you find with designers is they come in with their garments and they have no sizes on them, they have no labels on them, they have no content of fabric. Everybody, practical things, yeah, all of that are the mistakes. The other mistake is that going and throwing a whole load of money into a first collection without having any knowledge whether it's going to sell. You know, I would say, you know, go and sit, have a coffee on the road and look at, you know, what people are wearing. But where do you fit into everybody who's just walking down the road? Where do you fit in there? Where, you know, for you, I know you're doing the costume. I think that's incredible. Simon Mahoney, one of our designers, does all the Celtic women clothing. I know it's not, well, he started from Gaiety as well, you know, so costume is an incredible road.
Fashion design, but I just can't really make up my mind between costume and fashion, because everything I do is very borderline costume design.
But you can put that into fashion.
Yeah, it's trying to make it,
yeah.
start bringing the elements I like from costume design or more historical pieces into more commercial.
Yeah, absolutely. But
it can actually wear.
Yeah, so I mean, but costume is a huge part of fashion, you know, and like we don't want to see rails and rails of tailored clothing that you see on the high street. We want to see the creativity. We want to see, you know, like the next John. Like John Rusher is just Philip Tracy. Look how creative he is. But Philip Tracy has his couture line that you see on the catwalk, and then he has his line that sells in my shop. But it's still incredibly creative. He takes all those elements from his couture shows, but he can sell, you know, and
exactly.
That's trying
it's
not
figuring out how to
losing.
do that.
Yeah, trying to find the balance. So the biggest mistakes I would say is it's great to have a dream, but it has got to be a dream that works and translates. It has got to sell at the end of the day. You know, we all have to get paid. A lot of time, effort, and money has been spent on collections that will never sell, and it breaks my heart. You know, because you look at the designers, you think they put so much into this. They've gone ahead and they've spent 10,000, 20,000 on this collection, and it's going to sit there, and then they come to you and go, why isn't it selling?
I think the big thing as well is you know, a lot of designers mightn't be business minded. If you're going to be a fashion designer, you're going to have a business, okay? So if you don't have that business expertise, no problem. But, you know, work with somebody that does. Work with a business partner, get a business partner on board, get, as Ashley said, like a member of the family, a friend, somebody. You can't do it all. You're very lucky if you can. But it would also minimise your creativity, because realistically you're spending, 80% of your time on the business side, the business plan, the accounts, the boring stuff.
Yeah.
If you don't want to do that and you do want to create, it's going to leave less time for that. So you really have to think about the business aspect of it, because that's what it is. As Ashley keeps saying, it's not a hobby. If you want to make money, it's a business. So it gets somebody who has that area of expertise. And the same goes for marketing. The same goes for any area you're not strong in. Work with somebody who is strong in that. You know?
Yeah. And we all learn. I mean, I'm learning. You know, we all, you go through phases in your business where you think, exactly what Ian said. Why am I doing, I need to I need the reason why I'm doing this, and I know why I'm doing it. I'm here to make money, but I'm also doing it because this is my passion, this is my love. I can make a difference, and I want my daughter to continue the legacy of the design centre. 35 years ago when it was set up out of pure and utter passion and creativity, and that has got to remain, and that's how I feel about it. So believe in your collection. I know you're at the moment. I really got that from you. You believe in what you're doing, but try and translate that into some sort of reality. That it can sell. Because at the end of the day, if you look at any of the bigger designers, they're obviously selling, or they wouldn't still be there. You are your brand now. Everything about you is your brand. So remember that. Like, the first protocol is you. How you conduct yourself. Manners are everything, It's a huge, unfortunately, and I don't like to say it either, but ego is very big in the fashion industry. It's massive, and you learn quickly, it's like all of these press column inches are one thing, and it's fantastic, and then you walk around and think, I've made it, and I'm fantastic, and what you mean that isn't moving, or and it's very important to stay humble and stay real. Like, you have got to grow, you have got to learn. And it's one thing if you want to be famous, take up acting. If you want to be, a designer and believe in what you do and sell, it's a different thing. It's a business and creativity. There's two sides to it.
Yeah, I know. Like, from the talk I was in before, I was one of the finalists of the Dublin Fashion Week.
Yes.
But I didn't make it to the 10.
Okay.
Right.
Okay.
So I attended the talk. And you left it open that we could make our designs and come to you.
Yes.
But I've still been afraid to come.
But the fear is, don't be afraid. We're all afraid at some point.
Yes, but now I'm not going to be afraid. My next collection, I'll come knocking. If you say it's not okay, that's fine.
Be persistent, but don't be a pest. Nobody likes a pest either, because then you're going, oh, for God's sake. So persistence is really, and I find that with some of the designers, persistence is so, it's so important. I've taken on our best sales assistants in the shop through persistence.
Yeah.
We had one girl, Petra, I'll never forget her. Every day.
Any news on the job? Give the girl a trial.
Shut her up.
Then she said, maybe I could just work for free.
Yeah.
She turned out to be our best sales girl ever.
Yeah.
She's gone to New York now. We're on to her once a week. She got married since, and most of our staff that have come through the shop still come back to us and go, God, those years were great. Because you're learning, and there's fun in fashion. If you're doing what you love, it's an amazing experience.
Well, I definitely go back to experience as well. For anyone who wants to be a fashion designer, offer your services for free, even better, get a job while you're still in college, because the experience you're going to gain from seeing, you think you know what a woman wants, but until you're actually trying those garments on women and realising that body shapes are so different, they're so diverse. It's not like Louis Copeland, who's a tailor, and goes, well, I have a 32-inch leg. Way different. So you really get a sense for, I know what flatters, and no matter how creative your design is, if it flatters a woman's body, she's going to buy it. That's it. End of. Period. Do you know what I mean? So,
and the biggest mistake is fit.
Yeah.
The biggest. And I have seen the most
huge.
commercial garments that don't fit and don't sell. So if it doesn't fit you, you automatically go, well, actually, I'm not. They get very insulted. I'm not a size 12. I'm 10.
You build your loyalty instantly. With something that flatters someone, they're going to go, I'm going to go back and get another one of those dresses in this colour, that colour, this colour. It's like those jeans. If you found a pair of jeans, you know that fit, you don't even have to try them on. So it's huge, and you only gain that by actually watching a woman, watching a girl, whatever, trying on shapes.
Yeah.
So it's such a good experience.
And as a designer, meet and greet your client. I always say to the designers, this is your house, come. You're not going to find any more. It's just invaluable, the experience or from dealing with that client and from what they have to say to you. I mean, I have got some bad insults over the years about my stock, and I have had to listen. It was like, everything in here is a size 8, there's nothing here for my size, and until you really go through the res and show them, hang on a second, try that on, or do this, or So you've got to listen and take notes from what your customer wants, because your customer at the end of the day is the one who's buying your stock and is the one who's paying you. You know, so it starts with creativity. Never lose it. It's a journey. It really is the whole process of fashion, retail, design, right down to the selling. But you have got, at the end of the day, after all of that time and effort you put into that garment, to sell it and get some money from it, or it really is a hobby. And that's really it, guys. Have you got anything to say, or any questions or anything?
Can I just say one thing? I think, because I thoroughly agree with what you're saying. But coming back to this idea of not doing things for the customer, and I think this is critical, because there's really, with regard to generating revenue and making things commercial, if you want, or thinking about selling, it's knowing what your customer wants. But that doesn't mean that you should compromise sometimes. There are going to be some elements of your work that you can generate revenue from, and some that you won't be able to generate revenue from.
I call them window pieces.
Exactly. But don't devote all of your finance into the stuff that you can't sell.
Yeah.
So if you are doing your first collection and it doesn't fit, or it doesn't have the right sort of sleeves, or the right sort of neckline, or whatever, that's the thing you do for yourself, that you use as your exhibition piece.
But also fashion shows. That's the beauty of fashion shows. We have one designer. She's in her third season with us now. Everything didn't fit last season. We had a few issues, but she did the most amazing shows and garnered a lot of press and a lot of interest. So I think that's a great opportunity to really show your creativity and get people interested in the brand. And what's going to look beautiful on a 6-foot model, doesn't necessarily translate, but we all want the beauty. If you don't want the beauty, you don't know what to buy.
Exactly.
So,
and as long as we appreciate that that's not the one that's going to, but that's going to be the bit that drives people to the stuff.
And we don't want rows of blazers and rows of skirts, because I mean that's not fashion.
It sounds like
you have got to have that, and college. That's why I to be a student again, amazing. Get it all out there, at that point, and get your runway, your first collection after 4 years of college. Put everything that probably doesn't work necessarily, neckline, whatever. That's what we're there for. We're there to say that is incredible. Now it's got to sell. You know what I mean? So keep those sleeves, move that neck.
And I think fashion speak, their favourite word is tweak, because there's always a tweak. You know what I mean? So it's all fun, but we can tweak that so we can meet you somewhere in the middle.
Yeah. So before you go investing all that money into the first collection, just try and get that collection to work so that it will sell. That's all we can really say. It's to this day, even as a buyer, I will buy that piece I know doesn't sell, because I know it's going to bring in all the PR, all of the press, and they're going to go, oh my God, look at that, and then I'm going to go, well, this will work from that, from that collection.
And without contradicting ourselves, there are huge exceptions to the rule as well. We note, I'd say, at least 10 designers who, if we were buyers and we're buying the brand, we'd say it's amazing, but we really can't buy it because it's not going to sell. So we've taken on graduates going, it's wild, I don't know how it will sell, and they've surprised us and they've sold. So some of the most outlandish things have actually sold as well. So I know that sounds like a contradiction, but I guess it's about maybe following your instincts, saying, I don't care if it doesn't fit anyone, I love it, it's amazing.
Yeah.
And I mean, we do see the beauty in this.
Yeah, but that's a one-off piece or two.
Yeah,
it's not a 20
collection,
piece.
absolutely. Absolutely. There's the element of it in there for sure.
You have to take your risks as well.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Otherwise,
Absolutely.
you will be stagnating.
Well, we have a section down the back of our store where we take on college graduates, and it's an opportunity to put you a tester, if you like. We take a small commission from what sells, and so basically you get your own little rail. And now it has to be up to standard. It has to not fall apart. It has to have your labels. It has to. You don't want to walk away and spend €300 on a garment, and you can't dry clean it or things like that. So it has to be realistically, at consumer level. But at the end of the day, it gives a little bit of an opportunity to try, and test. So there's always that available with us.
Test the waters.
Test the water, see how you go.
But there's one final thing as well that we haven't touched on, and I'm sure you guys have all thought about. Production, Ashling talked about initially. It's a massive problem in this country. And then if you're looking at production abroad, which many of our established designers have, you're looking at big minimums. So I would say, I'd love to offer advice, but they're very small amount of people that will do small minimums. So it's really about getting that in place, about getting fabric suppliers in place that you can buy minimums from as well.
And that's when
still an issue.
That's when it becomes your business. That's when it becomes, I'm doing a collection, because fashion is tough. You need 2 seasons, or there's 2 seasons in the year. You need 2 collections. You need to be way ahead of everything that's going on. The buyers want to see the collections like months before they go on the floor. in order for you to produce them. So you know, there's a lot of thinking about what you want to do. I love the beginning of the process, because the beginning of the process is a 10-piece collection that you believe in, your heart is there. After that, it becomes a production. Production is, you have got to oversee every garment, I believe, as a designer. There's no point in handing your collection over to somebody and saying, okay, you know, 2 or 3 months time, bring me my 50-piece, you know, stock back, and then buttons start. And I've seen it, buttons come off, you know, seams are done the wrong way, and you nearly cry for them. You're like, you should have been at that factory making sure that was being quality control. Yeah, the sizes are wrong, and this gorgeous collection turns into like a 70% off collection in a sale, and you know, what good is that, you know? So there's lots of positives in the industry. It's a fantastic place to work. Creativity is huge, and passion is there. And when you see your collection on the runway, even when we style our shows and we see the impact we can give to the designers, and see it walking down and go, this is what it's about, you know. But then it has got to translate into your business, you know. That's finding that balance. It's hard, even for me, you know, not getting carried away with the creative side, trying to keep grounded on the level of this has got to sell. You know, I'm still learning. I'm doing a program called Going for Growth now, and I'm very excited about it at the moment, because I know what I want to do and where I want to go in this industry, and I want to be able to bring that back and share it, you know. So it's a learning process. Yeah. That's it, guys.
Okay, so like I said, the reason why I put this workshop together is to try and help as many fashion designers or creative people, just to give you some insights, some knowledge that I've maybe spoken to fashion designers, creative people that have done it, that I've seen it for myself, people that are up there as well. So it was put together by the magazine, and I'm just going to be talking about growing revenue, marketing, finding people, cash flow, branding, advertising, and time management. Okay, so growing revenue. So from all the fashion design students I've spoken to, cash is oxygen. So cash is one of the most important things that stops them from going to the next level. You need finance for everything from materials to, you know, to putting the collection together, and marketing as well, and press, and, you know, shooting a lookbook. So that goes all in on. Poor marketing. Okay. One of the most reasons why a lot of designers, should I say, creative people fail is like lack of marketing. No, there's no point in spending maybe 6 months making a collection and then there's very little no marketing. You need to get people to be aware of your design, either through newspapers or through articles and magazines, or you have to market yourself. And then finding like, you know, a good team. I think for any designers or for anyone that do creative work, is finding good people around you. People that actually believe in your vision, that believe in what you're trying to accomplish, and that are actually going to push you when you feel like giving up. They'll push you to go to that next level. And then going global, okay? In 2016 alone, right, the e-commerce is going to be what, at least $1 trillion. So what does that tell you? That tells you, like, you know, like, I think as time goes on, we're still at the infancy phase where e-commerce is like, it's still relatively new. And a lot of people are still maybe in the process of getting online, or maybe they're kind of hesitant of maybe putting their stuff online. So cash flow, okay, and then you have stuff like how do you worry about, you know, you have your profits, your income tax, your expenses. How do you manage all of this? You're a designer, you're also have to worry about your account now, and then branding as well. So I really want to talk about branding, and why branding is so important. Like Ashling was saying, for example, like doing the basic stuff like having a label and sizing, and like your brand is pretty much what people were saying when you're not there. So I give some great examples. Take Gap for example, right? This was their logo, and like they changed this logo, and then they had to change it back. And you can see, for example, Motorola, for example, when Google bought Motorola, the logo was changed as well. And the brand, okay? The brand is what people are saying when you're not there. So what does that tell you? Like, if your brand is a strong brand, if it leaves an impression on people, then they go, oh, that's actually a cool brand. Versus like you're just trying to, like, you know, trying to be like everyone else or trying to fit in. Okay, I got this design from a German website t-shirt. So keep it simple. You look at the t-shirt, for example, it's very simple and very minimal. There isn't anything too loud or too busy, you know. So keep the design simple. Sometimes simplicity is the best thing. Less is more. Like sometimes you might have like maybe, I don't know, 20 ideas and you really want to just do everything. So just say, find the best ideas, maybe only do 3 ideas and see, you know, if it actually makes sense as opposed to just trying to do too many at the same time. Okay, this is my favorite coffee brand. Not that I'm a coffee lover, Nespresso. So if you look at the way they do coffee, like the way they make coffee feel like it's a luxury thing. You know, like the way from the branding, from the logo, to the way they package the product, the way the staff interact with customers. Branding isn't just your logo, it's not just how your website looks, it's how we do things, like, you know, how do you communicate with your customers? Like, how do you make them feel? Like, what kind of perception are you trying to put out there? Okay, so take Coca-Cola for example, right? So Coca-Cola was founded in 1886, and they have the best branding strategy. They're always looking for ways to come up with new ideas to keep marketing themselves as the best soft drink out there in the world. And they've been doing it for the last 100 years or so. You know, you can see, I don't know if you guys remember the Coke card campaign where you have to share a Coke with a friend. You know, if any other company out there try to do that, I don't think it would be as successful. But because they have a name and they've built a reputation, they were able to pull it off. So, for example, okay, I mean, Coca-Cola, for example, maybe let's say they target young people. For example, they have a community of people. If you look at the way they do their ads, it's not necessarily that we're selling you a soft drink. We're selling you, you know, it's just it kind of feels, you know, you feel like that you're part of something. You know, there's a message behind each ad. Okay, technology. I want to talk about technology and the impact of technology on fashion. Okay, so I don't know how many of you guys have a website, or have a Facebook page, or have a social media page. Okay, so for example, there's a new app. Okay, so this is like a virtual wardrobe. You know, let's take for example, it organizes your wardrobe and tells you by season and by event. So take for example, this kind of impact, like say you have new mobile apps coming out. Like how is that going to impact you as a designer? Like, do you get yourself on that platform? How can you attach yourself to, you know, to that movement? Okay. I want to talk about e-commerce. Sorry, mobile, for example. Okay. So as technology changes, practically at the speed of light, it's so important that companies innovate or be left behind. So take, for example, if you're a designer, you know, basic stuff. Do you have a website? Are you on all the social media channels there? You know, is your website mobile friendly? You might think, well, why do I need a mobile friendly website? You know, that's because most of the sales are done through mobile phones. Like all of you guys are literally on your phone, you know, checking your phone. So it's just making sure you're at the right place where the customers are. Okay, there's another app. So I got an email about a year or two ago. This is way before, I don't know, this app was launched or so. So it was a press release. So pretty much you could be walking down the street and someone just take a picture of your jacket and they can buy that. They can buy jacket that you're wearing from the retailers, you know. So that's the speed, that's the impact that technology has on fashion. Okay. Another challenges that might be facing designers or say creative people are, say, every year there's a new, you know, customers want something new. Maybe last year it might be something different was in, and this year it's totally different. So how do you keep up? You know, and like every year you're gonna have like new fashion graduates coming out of college wanting to compete. So every year there's new people coming in with different design, and you have to make yourself stand out. Okay, advertising. Okay. So, like a lot of people think maybe marketing is a waste of money. Or they think maybe advertising is a waste of money. It's like, oh, I'm gonna spend 80% of my budget on the actual collection. Whereas I would say spend at least 20% on the collection and then spend 80% on the marketing. Because if no one knows about your brand, if no one knows or aware of what you spent the last 6 months doing, then it's practically for nothing. So as it says there, a man who stops advertising to save money is like a man who stops the clock to save time. Time management. Okay, so how do you manage your time when you have like a million other things to do? You're checking email, you're trying to meet your clients, you're making a collection, and there's like 20 other stuff that you're doing simultaneously. So, there's an opportunity for anyone. So by 2020, right, the world is getting older. Like there's an aging population where people are getting older. So there's about 15 trillion in 2020. There'll be a 15 trillion market for that demographic. So for anyone that's a fashion designer or maybe creative person, that might be a market. Say in 2020, and when I might try and create a collection, or maybe find a way you can attach yourself to this to get a portion of the figure. So growing your revenues. So there's only 3 ways to grow your revenue. Okay, so you have your number of customers, number of transactions, and then how often they buy from you. So take Ashling for example. I don't know, you might have a regular customer that comes to your shop every other month. So the only way to increase your revenue is to get the customer to come back. Take for instance, for example, you have 300 customers and they maybe buy from you 3 times, and then on average they spend about €100. That equates to 9,000. So the only way to grow your revenue is to get the customers to come back. Get them to come back and try and get them to buy more from you. So marketing, the golden circle. We were talking about this earlier. So people don't buy what you do; they buy why you do it. So like why should anyone care about your design? Like what's so special? Like everyone else is trying to make it as a designer or make it as a creative person. What makes you so special? That is your why. And you start with why. Why you're doing this. What gets you out of bed every morning? Like what keeps you going when you feel like giving up? And then how do you deal with what you do? And then what do you actually do? How marketing works. Okay, storytelling. Alright, talk about storytelling because it's so important. Like the way you tell your stories and the way you market yourself to the public is so important. Because if people can relate to your story and they feel like this is an authentic story, not just someone trying to push something down our throats. So storytelling, that's how marketing works. So for example, you take what you love, your design, and you get a brain power behind it. Maybe you have to get a business partner or get a mentor or get someone that's been there for the last 20 years, that can speed up the process. And then that equates to money. So marketing strategy. What is the best marketing strategy? The only best marketing strategy is to actually care about the customers, like to really, 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 really care. Like I care so much about creative people making it as an artist. That's one of the reasons I set up this workshop. It's not just, I want to sell my products, I want to sell my garments. No, you actually have to care more. You have to make the customers feel like you care more about them and you care more about them buying your product. That is the only way. That is the only best marketing strategy ever. Okay, storytelling is a nut. This is where a guy called Seth Godin says marketing is no longer about the stuff you make, but about the stories you tell. Okay, so seven P's of service marketing. So you need the right product. Like Ashling says, you don't just go and make stuff and think, this is gonna sell. Like what are people looking for? Like what are they wearing? What's the new trend? What are the stuff that maybe there's niche markets? You need the right promotion. We'll talk about advertising. Talk about maybe marketing yourself. You need the right price. if you're selling a garment that's €300 and your target customers are 18 to 24, you know, and if they can't afford that for the price, so you have to like price your price according to your demographic. You know, you need the right process, the right people, and the right product. So here's an example of how to plan your day. If you have a million things on your list, okay? So take me for example, I might have a lot of stuff on my list, so I would say I have 10 to-do lists. And out of those 10 to-do lists, I will pick 6 of the most important stuff that I find important. So for example, there you go. So this might be a typical day. Send client proposal, check email, 1 o'clock, have lunch with client, 3:30 call client, I write a blog post, whatever. So this is just an example of how I schedule my day. So from 8 till maybe 5, every hour is filled with something, so I know I'm being productive and I'm not just going with, you know, with the flow of time. So talk about selling. So there's actually a website that shows you e-commerce in real time, but it's down anyway. So are any of you guys familiar with any of these channels, like Amazon, Etsy, Foxy, eBay, ASOS? So like if you're a designer and you're trying to get yourself out there, maybe for example you went to, I don't know, boutique, and you're open to get your design, you know, in that boutique, you know, but you also want to sell on our channels though. So you can sell on Etsy and ASOS and eBay as well, and other platforms as well. So selling is how you make a living. We talk about making money. The only way you make a living is by selling. So either you're selling the time, you're selling the design, you're selling something. That's the only way you make money. And whether you have a job, you're selling your time to make money. So this is just a graph chart of where most people are trying to sell this stuff. So take for example, you have online gallery, have a shop on eBay. Don't worry guys, I'll you know this around. And then you have art festivals, and then you have other online gallery shop. So what can you do? Can you try and put your stuff online? Can you maybe go to festivals and go to places where, you know, people would actually buy whatever you're selling? So this is just the graph between Etsy and eBay. So how do you grow your business using social media, alright? So you have 69% of internet users are all on social media, okay? So the way you grow your business using social media is through Facebook ads, maybe doing YouTube videos, advertising, blog posts, being on all the social media networks that you can just spread yourself as much as you can. Okay, here's just some facts. All right, Facebook has 1.5 monthly billion users. Nike is the most followed brand on Instagram, you know, and then Pinterest has about 70 million users right now. What does that tell you? That means the way things are going right now, I think if you look at brands that are going to be successful, and this might sound a bit biased, I think it's based on the amount of impact, as you said, you can make. How many people do you have at your disposal that can, you know, maybe would buy a collection? You just build an audience of people that believe in your brand, and they will maybe then say, oh, I really like that brand. Actually, I'm going to buy from you. As opposed to if no one knows about you. I've met a lot of people that, oh, I'm not on Facebook, or I don't know about this Instagram thing, I don't know about this all internet thing. I think as time goes on, it's an essential for any business to be on this platform and to just try and get yourself out there and try and just market yourself, and just because that's like free advertising. All those social media sites are just like free advertising basically, to just get yourself out there to as many people as you can. Okay, here's another stat. As of now, Instagram has 400 million users. You know, and Facebook has about 1.5 billion, you know, users. So what does that tell you? That tells you like this is the places where people are spending their time. That's where you all need to be. I mean, when I first came in, most of you guys are on your phone, literally. That's where people are. So that's where you need to show up, to put your product on that platform and try and get as many eyeballs on your product. So videos. So I think, like, for every time I shoot a collection with a client, or I always do a video. Even now I have a video guy recording this because I know video is like the next big thing. We went from maybe blog posts to images, and now video. I think video is so important. You know, like alone, like if you just having a video on your website alone increases, 73% of people actually responding to what you're selling. That shows you how powerful video is. So I want to do a case study, okay? I don't know if you guys know about Nostago. Some of you guys might know, okay? I think a lot of time when people were trying to set up a fashion business, they have this ideal, I'm going to be the next Alexander McQueen, I'm going to be the next Dior, and it took the guys 100 years to get there, if not 20, 30 years, and you want to get there in a space of, so it doesn't happen overnight. It's a journey. It's step by step, and you get there eventually. So Nostago was founded by Sophia Amarose. So what she started doing was maybe buying stuff from thrift shop and styling the model and making sure, just make sure the clothes have a personality, and then selling on eBay. So maybe in a week she might sell about 50 products. Buy stuff for $5 and maybe sell for $30, and slowly but surely just build it up until it became a million a year brand. So the demographic are young girls. Okay, they've grown each year. They've grown by 500%, pretty much every year. The sales figures, okay. So over 25% of the sales are outside of America, and 93% of the inventory are full price. That is huge. Imagine selling all your inventory on full price at 93%. The social media. The Facebook audience, Instagram, Twitter, and Pinterest. So like I said, trying to make sure your brand as well seen on social media, really be Facebook ad. Like with these guys, for example, she grew a brand using Facebook ad and word of mouth. So how to post? So maybe they would post 2 to 3 times a day, okay? And all their posts would have images. So on their website, the kind of stuff they post, new stuff, video, back in stock, sneak peek. And then they have a lookbook photo, which is just quick they do on a monthly basis. Just want to go back real quick. So stuff like this, sneak peek, new stuff, video, back in stock, that's just in a way you're kind of communicating with your audience. You're not just putting the product on a website or on a shelf and opening sales. You need to have that one-to-one personal connection and just keep the audience engaged and give them reasons to come back, to look at what's new. So, and then they have DIY videos or behind the scene videos. I mean, why would a brand do a how-to videos or behind the scene videos? Because they understand that it's just buying a t-shirt or buying a dress. They actually want you to come back. They want you to feel like you're part of the community. How to style your hair, for example, or behind the scene from our photo shoot, whatever. So there's a story behind it. It tells you about how you tell your stories, and just tell your stories in a way that people are so interested that they have to tell other people as well. Okay, future of technology. Okay, you have the smart bra, the smart pants, smart watch, 3D printing clothes. The possibilities are pretty much endless. So take smartwatch for example, right? There was an article I read where Apple and the luxury brand industry they weren't sure if Apple were going to bite into their own market, But I think the way technology and fashion is going is either fashion and technology would just be something that goes side to side, or maybe the fabric are going to be a lot smarter, or maybe they would add to everyday use. Okay, what are the difference between big brands and small brands, okay? And I said this time again. I mean, I've seen a lot of designers that are so passionate about what they do. They put a lot of time into the effort, but they don't put the time into the quality of their product. I'd say, for example, like images, for example, like your the way you know, maybe the way you do stuff, the branding, you know, it's just not about making a collection. That's it. That's not where it stops.
The finishing.
That's not. It's just the finishing. That's not where it stops. It doesn't stop when you made your clothes, you made your garments, and you've sold your garments. You know. So I just have a quick question for you guys. So what are the challenges facing? You know, take you for example. Like, what are the biggest challenges?
What I'm facing right now is production, the production process.
Yeah.
That's where my problem is. Because on my own, I can't do it on my own. You know, I can do it, yes, but the timeline, you know, to be able to take it out to a shop, you know, like for instance, there's a company, they'd ordered coats for the winter, and because I work on my own, so for me to do them on, it took me a long time, but well, I did the coats and the trousers for them, but it took me a longer time. So production is another
issue.
That's what I'm facing, but I think I have that sorted because he said I should not give up.
Okay. So back to where, as I was saying, like many say fashion students or fashion designers want to compare with the big brands. Then how do you define your own success? It's very easy to just compare your success with somebody else's success, and then it's like just becomes a bit in circle ways. Oh, this person is doing so and so, or this person was at London Fashion Week, whereas actually a lot of those designers, or maybe they have a backer that backs them, or they might have been at that show, but that doesn't mean they're selling, because at the end of the day, like numbers don't lie. Like money do matter to an extent. You know, it's not about just making a design. Oh, I'm in so and so London Fashion Week, and then like Ashling was saying, ego is such a big problem. You know, and I think like, you know, like making sure, you know, maybe either it's finding a mentor or maybe finding someone that's going to back you. But the way I would recommend is just to start small and just like maybe start with 3 stuff. If it costs you 20 to make, sell it for 50, and then just replicate the process again. You know, rather than just, you know, trying to just throw in maybe 10, 20, you know, 50 grand, whatever, into your collection. You just start small and just say, how much does the fabric cost? Okay, so how much am I going to sell it for? Like before you even make the collection, the time you put into it, like know how much you're going to sell it for and how much are people willing to pay for it. Yeah. So, like I said, the most common money-related mistakes a lot of creative people make is they're reluctant to invest in their own careers. You know, I've seen a lot of people that maybe they're creative. They would go out, maybe spend X amount of money on a particular product. You know, but when it comes to investing in your own business or your own career, they don't want to do that. You know, and that's what's keeping a lot of say successful, a lot of artists to get to that level, to be successful. At some point in time, you know, you have to invest, even if it means, I don't know, begging, borrow, stealing to get to where you need to be. You have to invest in your own career as an artist. So, to finish up, it's gonna be tough. Like, don't just get caught up in the pink cloud and thinking, oh, well, at one time, or eventually things are gonna happen. Nothing's gonna happen if you don't take action, if you don't meet the right people, if you don't get feedback, if you don't put yourself out there and find people that are going to challenge you and it's going to kick your ass, and make sure you get to where you need to be. So don't just hope that it will just all fall in place, because it's not, unless you take action, unless you take yourself in the direction that you want it to be. So to finish up, I've worked with a few clients that are designers. So if any of you guys are interested in maybe shooting your next collection or your next lookbook, whatever, you know, after the presentation, you can speak to Sarah. I'll take your details and we go from there. Okay. Sorry, just to finish up, I just wanted to wrap it up. Okay. Just a quick quiz. Okay. What are the 3 ways of growing your revenue? Does anyone know?
Increasing customers, increasing the frequency of transactions, and increasing transactions.
Correct. So, if you don't market your business, you don't have a business. Pretty much, you have to marketing. Never stop marketing. Never stop marketing. That is the only way to go from where you are to where you want to be. Just constantly market yourself, find new ways to market yourself. So guys, thank you very much for coming.